Welcome back. Today we shall be dealing with the important aspects of business, that is business risk. If we are to define what is a business risk, we know that a business operates in a dynamic environment. The environment of business does not remain same. There are many opportunities. Similarly, there are many threats as well, as which a business encounters as it moves on performing its business activities day-to-day operation. So in the course of business, a business encounters many opportunities and many threats. These opportunities and threats do affect the execution of business operations. They also affect the earning capacity of the business. Since the environment, the changes in the business environment cannot be predicted with a precision. So there is a likelihood that a business, when encountered with a situation that cannot be predicted with precision before its occurrence, there is a possibility or a probability that business may have to bear some unwanted burden in future when it encounters such situation, and thereby the business may have to incur a loss or cannot expect profit to be generated in future. So if we to define business risk, it can be simply defined as risk as a probability of unwanted burden. None of the business wants this burden, that is the probability of certain losses, financial losses in the future that may arise due to uncertain events that may take place in the business environment. So unwanted burden a business has to bear due to uncertain future events. Some event may occur in the business environment, and the result or the effect of that event cannot be predicted beforehand with precision. It can only be estimated. So in the environment, in the course of business operation, therefore business risk is the likelihood of some losses or unwanted burden that a business has to bear in future in the course of business operation. Now if we are to analyze this entire concept of business risk, then we would come with the following features of risk. What we find is that risk is essential element of business. To be more precise, no business in this world exists without a risk. Risk is imminent, risk is inherent with all sorts of business. A business cannot exist without a risk. We know when a business activities is planned, the result cannot be generated, or we cannot expect a result within an hour or within a fraction of seconds. It takes a time for a business to come with the results. The results of a business occurs in the future time or in future prospects. Now this future is always uncertain. We cannot predict with precision what is the possible implication of these changes or uncertain event in the business operations. So we conclude over here that a business cannot escape the risk. There are various types of risk. risk can be pure risk, where there is a chances of losses we cannot escape. Like, take an example: strikes, lockdown in a factory, or some earthquake or volcanic eruption, natural disaster. Whenever that takes place, they affect in reduction or decrease in the income or revenue to the business. So there is possibility, there are greater chances or likelihood of losses taking place for the business. Then there may be speculative risk. We make conjectures about the probable losses or unwanted burden that a business has to take. These speculative risks are acceptance of a product in a market, or the possible fluctuation in the prices of a product. So risk can be pure risk, it can be speculative risk, it can be internal risk, the fear of loss due to some internal factor within the business. It can be external risk, it can be insurable risk. Those risks are insurable, the incurrence of which can be predicted with certain precision. Not all risks are insurable. Only risk whose effect is expected and can be determined with certain precision, those risks are insurable. So there can be uninsurable risk, the effect, the occurrence of which cannot be determined with precision. So what we conclude, that business has a risk, and risk is an essential element of a business, because business operates in an environment. The environment consists of complex factors, and the future of the business environment cannot be predicted, and these environment changes. It never remains static. There is change in the environment. So the changes that takes place in the future environment of the business, they cannot be predicted with precision, and hence there are chances, likelihood that a business may have to bear an unwanted burden. So we conclude that risk is essential element of business. The second feature is uncertainties are the cause of risk. Now, what are these uncertainties? When we say that business risk arises due to uncertainty. Now, what does this uncertainty mean? Uncertainty simply means that we are unaware about the future. We cannot make a decision, or we cannot make a guess about how the future would be. What would be the future of a business? We are not well versed in each of the act or in every activity. We cannot be a master of all the activities. So far future is concerned, we don't have a knowledge of how the future would be, what probable changes would take place in the future, and what would be its implication in the business. So there looms an uncertainty about the possible impact of the changes or the future in the business. Take an example. What would be the demand, or what would be the supply of a product that is being offered by a business depends upon number of factors. It is not that the demand and supply that exists today will persist even in future. It may not. There are many intervening factors that intervene with demand, that intervene with supply of a product. So what we find, that there looms an uncertainty, there lies an uncertainty in future which cannot be predicted with precision. And so we conclude that The main causes of risk are uncertainty, that is our unknowingness about the future, the changes that takes place in the business environment in future and how they will impact or affect our business operation. Then the next one is risk varies with the nature and size of a business. The quantum of loss or the unwanted burden that a business has to undertake, it depends upon the nature and size of a business. Take an example. We know butter. Take an example of butter. That is a good that has to be consumed within a very short duration. We cannot store them for a long. Storage for a long period then wanted may leads to degradation in their quality. They may become unfit for human consumption. So if such goods are not accepted within the time period, they become stale. They become unfit for human consumption. So nature of the product also is responsible, and they accounts for the extent of the risk that a business has to encounter. If we are in an apparel company when making a product, whether our product that is designed by us will be accepted in the market or not, because the preference, the taste of a consumer keeps on changing. So their preference would change with their taste. The cloth that we design may be accepted, may not be accepted. So the degree of the risk is directly proportional to the nature and the size of the business. Similarly, big business have a bigger risk. They have a greater amount of encountering an unwanted burden. There is risk. If there are chances of losses, it would be greater in case of a bigger company or a big business, and it is small in case of a small business. Then finally we have profit as the result of risk. Now how can we justify that profit is the reward of risk or it is the result of business risk? To our understanding, we know that there are 4 resources of production or any act, and those resources, when they are being used in business operation or activities, they are being remunerated for their use. For example, when we make use of land, we pay rent. When we use labor, we pay them wages and salary. When we make use of capital, we provide interest on capital. There is one person who does all the efforts of assembling of these resources. He hires all the resources, he assembles all the resources, and then utilize those resources for a business operation. Not sure whether his effort would be productive or not, whether it would be in his interest or not, whether it would result in some financial gain or not. He is not sure. So without any certainty of his action, what would be the result of his action, whether it would be gain or a loss, he undertake all this action. And after payment to all the resources, the amount that is left, that is termed as profit. So business enterprises, the person who takes this risk, these ventures, who bears all this risk that he may encounters in assembling the product, in allocation of the product, in making payment about the resources that he uses. So what we conclude over here is that it is the reward or the result of business risk. Since a businessman was unaware, he was uncertain whether his act of assembling, his act of taking all the resources, hiring the resources and making use or using them into a productive activities, whether it would result in something positive or not. He has taken a risk and the result is profit. So we conclude, since he was not aware, therefore profit is the reward or result of business risk. When you take a risk, it results in profit. And it is rightly said, no risk, no gain. When you don't take a risk, you cannot dare to have a gain. So therefore, business risk results in some gain. Or rather, profit is the reward of business risk. Now we will discuss about the factors which are responsible for business risk. I have enumerated business risk or the factors to be natural causes, economic causes, human cause and physical cause. What I wanted to point you out is that the risk that a business encounters so these four reasons, these four causes that I have enumerated, they do result in the entire results of the business. They affect the result of a business, they affect the operations of the business or carrying out the operations of the business. What are natural causes, or what type of factors, or how natural causes affect they tends to prove an unwanted burden? We know natural causes refers to certain event in nature that may result in some losses to a business. Take an example like seasonal changes, or there is climatic changes. There is geological changes as well. Now, due to changes in the geography or in the geographical features, or there are certain geographical events, which geological event due to which a business may have to incur losses, like earthquake. Then in seasonal, we may have floods, we may have famine, we may have drought, we may have storm, we may have to face cyclones. All this act that takes place in nature, they do affect the resources with which business is carried out. They do affect the operations of the business, and hence they to a greater extent prove to be the result or the cause for unwanted burden of the business. Example could be flood, drought, earthquake, and then death of an expert employee. A business losing an expert employee has the effect of reduction in the production or in planning activities or organization of activities. Consequently, with the business activities, the result of the business also changes. Therefore, these unexpected seasonal changes or the changes in the geographical factors, geological events like earthquake and bridges being falling, then we have damaging of the building, almost everything that takes place due to some natural events or natural causes, they do affect the performance of a business. Due to natural event, a business may not be able to carry out its activity in other areas. A business may not be able to acquire its resources that it needs. A business may have to shut down its production activities or manufacturing activities due to natural events. So therefore, natural causes, they prove to be an unwanted burden or result in an unwanted burden. The most appropriate or a striking feature of natural causes is that we cannot predict their occurrence and their impact as well with certainty. They are unpredictable. Now, coming to economic causes, they are such event which results in economic losses to the business. These economic causes, they refers to a change in the market situations in which a business operates, and changes in the market business situation do result in a loss to the economic gain or economic share of the business. Price fluctuation, take an example of a commodity in a market. They do result to a considerable loss in a market. Fluctuation in the price of a product, then there is change in demand. Reduction in demand is directly proportional to loss in the revenue to a business. Now these change in demand, they may take place due to reduction in the purchasing power, due to reduction in the income of the consumers, of the buyers. So the purchasing power decreasing, leading to a decrease in the income, and therefore the revenue generation to the business also reduces. Then there is activity of the competitors. Competitor always comes with a greater technology or improved technology, better packing, better marketing strategy, better advertisement strategy, and better distribution channels. All this do impact the acceptability of the product in the market. They do affect the operation of the business in the market. So they falls under the category of economic causes. Then we have human causes, or rather these are the human factors that proves or that results in economic losses to a business. Enumerated, or that arises, the losses, this unwanted burden arises due to human effect, due to human factors, human beings. These factors as taken as the human incompetency in a business. When we hire incompetent person, like inefficient management, they are not good at managing the affairs of the business, so the business activity won't be organized in a productive manner. The cost of organizing business activity would increase. There would be greater losses, there would be greater wastages. Another human chances or factors that results in losses is careless behavior. Workers or people who are working with machines, if they do not take proper care while handling the machines, while handling instrument and tools, they results in accident, and it causes damages to the machines and in tools as well. Then finally we have dishonesty or misdeeds. Human being may be tempted by some sort of misdeeds, and they indulge in some misdeeds like embezzlement, like misappropriation of cash. They may be dishonest in their dealings with the operations of the business. They may also carry out activities which is not in the interest of the business, like strikes and lockouts. Strikes and lockout results in shortage of production or the production process being curtailed, and therefore the revenue generation to a business, they falls. So these human behavior, be it incompetency, be it inefficiency, be it misdeed, they do affect the entire operations of a business. And finally we have physical causes. Now physical causes are actually the losses that results from physical factors or the change in physical factors. We know that the state of technology that a business has adopted, they frequently undergoes a change and they become redundant. So carrying a technology that has become redundant, that has become obsolete in the market, and if we continue to use those technology, our production cost, our cost of operation would increase. We won't be able to cater to the demand in the market properly. So what we feel is that these technological changes results in change in technology, then the machine that have become outdated, they need to be replaced. If we continue with such machinery or such state of technology, we cannot meet out the demand, expected demand. Other important factors are that there is some mechanical defect. Machine being used continuously, if they are not taken proper care of, timely repairs and oiling, if it is not done, then they do results in some breakdown or machinery getting out of order. They cannot continue the operation for long, and hence there may be these physical factors that results in business loss or some unwanted burden to the business. One more factor we can categorize as miscellaneous factors. They include all those events that cannot be classified under any of these four categories, like change in government policy or taxation policy of the government going under change, business policy going change in the licensing regime. We know, we have heard about privatization, globalization and liberalization. How the changes in government policy relating to privatizing the industries, privatizing the other factories, the big business houses, opening of the economy, liberalization and licensing regime, changes in licensing regime, how they had affected the business. So these all activities affect a business and they may result in unwanted burden, because any changes that is caused by this in the business environment, be it natural cause, be it economic cause, be it human cause, or be it physical cause, they tends to force a business to bear unwanted burden, and this we termed as business risk. So finally we can also conclude once again that none of the business exists without a risk. It is imminent, it can be minimized, but cannot be avoided. So we shall continue our learning. Good day.